Hello, Bobs. I know this isn't going to work, so we're going to go back here. Let's go back and reset it. This is, I wouldn't say an X on, what is this option? On my Chromebook that I bought for my kid 10 years ago. What is this option? This function. This function. All right, I'm just going to read it because every time I try to move this thing, it messes up. So, Candace Owens has been going live Monday through Thursday, I believe. Sometimes Friday, like as I think is no. I don't really follow her channel, but I saw mentions of it that she was investigating Charlie Kirk's murder, and she's been, you know, interviewing witnesses and stuff. And one of the names that came up and has came up in the narrative, which she does not believe, is a detective Mike Mitchell, who supposedly facilitated Tyler Robinson turning himself in. She claims that Tyler Robinson states that he was not at the campus and that he did not shoot Charlie Kirk and that he had nothing to do with it and he's never been on the campus. And whatever else the narrative says, I don't know if she has stated that she doesn't believe he was walking around campus or that he was not at the Dairy Queen, which was like 6 miles away, but it doesn't matter. But she stated today that on her live cast that she can find nothing about Detective Mike Mitchell, who worked for several departments in the Salt Lake City police force or police, several departments in law enforcement in the Salt Lake City area. And I believe he was a sheriff detective, yeah, Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office. But here's a portrait of Mitchell, who said she said she could find no information on Mitchell. Jesus Christ, man. If you're 8, get out of my chat. Jesus Christ. Especially when I'm doing a surfing on the internet to snag predators. So Mitchell, who she claims she couldn't find any articles on, and I found at least a dozen within, half hour or hour, which includes reading the articles. I have tracked him down, and he was apparently an early officer doing catch a predator work, catch a predator on the internet. So please surf internet to snag pedophiles. And this is a 1999, November 16th and 17th from 1999 Deseret News. And from what I can gather, Deseret is maybe it's Desiree, but it is a city just outside of Salt Lake City. This article is by Amy Joy Bryson, Deseret News staff writer. He sits at a desk, tapping on a computer keyboard, and becomes a boy. He's chatting with someone now. His words are full of typos, misspellings, and childlike phrases. Mike Mitchell is not a boy. He's a police detective hunting for a pedophile, but the hunted doesn't know that. The detective and the pedophile agree to a meeting place for a sexual encounter. The pedophile believes he is meeting with a young boy. The detective knows he is meeting with a monster. Back in the 1950s, people's concept of a child molester was someone in a raincoat who hid in the bushes in a park, jumped out and molested the kids, Mitchell said. We all know today that's not the way it is. Today, the pedophile out there can be someone lurking on the internet, playing old tricks of the trade to lure young victims into sexual exchanges. Mitchell, a detective with the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office, has been investigating child sex crimes on the internet for about a year. I don't think people realize how big it is, he said. Mitchell is a proponent of legislation being pushed by Representative Perry Buckner, who is a Salt Lake County Sheriff's Deputy. Buckner D. Kearns? Oh, okay. Buckner D. Kearns wants the state to have the ability to seize and keep a person's computer after that person has been convicted of a computer assisted sex crime against a minor. It makes sense to take away the tool of the crime away from the criminal, Mitchell said. The legislature's Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Interim Committee is set to discuss it Wednesday. Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City are among the few entities whose law enforcement agencies across the state have detectives trained to investigate sex crimes against children that start with a computer. Both units were organized officially last year. Salt Lake Police Sergeant Ken Hansen met a vice cop from Chicago at a conference and learned about that city's investigative unit. He described how they put together a proactive unit that sought out these perpetrators. Instead of waiting for these people to accumulate their victims, Hansen said, it became apparent it was a service we needed. Hansen sought training and then successfully applied for an $8,000 grant to buy equipment and pay for additional training for other officers. It is 1 year and 16 cases later, a year that has taught Hansen there needs to be more effort, more training, and more money thrown at the problem of internet sex crimes committed against children. There's so much of it going on out there, he said. Mind you, this is 1999. There's so much of it going on out there, he said. It's evident we've barely scratched the surface. Hansen and others hope the state will get word this week that its application for a $300,000 federal grant has been accepted. If so, State Attorney General's office plans to use the money to set up an investigative task force that will coordinate efforts of local law enforcement. Because the World Wide Web is just that, many of the cases may have local ties, but quickly cross jurisdictional lines. Mitchell had one that involved a pedophile in Europe. The case was turned over to the FBI, which turned it over to Interpol agents who arrested the man. Essentially, detectives find two kinds of pedophiles on the internet. There are those who assume false identities and lure children into meeting with them. One man sent his intended victim a photo of him when he was 15. Other pedophiles use the internet as an elaborate way to stockpile thousands of images of child pornography that are traded to other pedophiles. Hansen and others believe, and I don't know what this says because it's all believe, I don't know what it says, something sex crimes on the internet involving children is one of the best and most effective example of proactive police work. There was one case we were able to get an 8-year-old girl before she was victimized, Hansen said. She was being groomed by a pedophile. A girlfriend of the suspect alerted authorities and the man was apprehended before any abuse occurred. The parents were relieved. They were weeks away from something happening to their little girl. And again, this is a search for Detective Mike Mitchell of, we don't want Cole Hudson. We want Detective Mike Mitchell. All right, let's go to, let me put this down because every time I type something in there, it shows personal information. We'll go to Google Newspaper Archives. Google Newspaper Archives. Detective Mike Mitchell. And we just want Detective Mike Mitchell. Obviously, he's not from Maine, so we skip those. And this is in relation to Candace Owens' saying today on her live cast that she could not find any information about Mike Mitchell, who is the guy who supposedly turned in Tyler Robinson. No, this is not. Refresh it. Come on. Tyler Robinson, who was suspected of killing Charlie Kirk. Charges against two moms spur more. There's another mention of Mike Mitchell, Detective Mike Mitchell from 2000. Cache pair, or is that cache pair? Charges against two moms spur more reports of sexual abuse. Cache pair, or is it cash? We don't know. Accused of not telling police their daughters were victims. Logan, and I assume that's Logan, Utah. News that I see it's the county name. Is that Cache or Cache? News that two Cache County, I'm going to say it's Cache County women were prosecuted for not reporting the sexual abuse of their daughters has apparently motivated more people to report cases of abuse, police and prosecutors say. I can't give you an exact number, but we have had a significant increase in people realizing the importance of reporting these types of crimes, and it's been very helpful to us and the victims, said Logan Police Detective Rod Peterson, who investigates sex crimes against children. Peterson said reports of abuse to Logan Police increased after Cache County prosecutors charged two women, 37 and 30, with child abuse, a second-degree felony, and failure to report a Class B misdemeanor for not reporting instances of sexual abuse against their daughters. When we charged the case and it was covered in the press, we had people who read it and called to report, said Cache County Attorney Scott Wyatt. One person called to report a pedophile who we believe has dozens and dozens of victims. Authorities aren't going after the people who have come forward, no matter how long ago the abuse occurred, Peterson said. But he also warned that anyone who knows abuse is taking place and does nothing to stop it should beware. Anybody, brother, uncle, cousin, son, anybody that becomes aware that a child victim is or has been sexually abused, they need to report it, Peterson said. And here comes the pertinent point. Salt Lake County Sheriff Detective Mike Mitchell, who has seen similar crimes prosecuted during his 18 years of investigating child abuse, and I'm not sure that that's accurate. I think he was a cop for 18 years at this point, because another article I read from 1999 about Mitchell stated that he started this department as a detective of child sex crimes in 99, but I could be mistaken. We have fluctuation throughout the year, Mitchell said. I haven't seen anything that's been up or down. The 30-year-old woman whom prosecutors charged in is awaiting a trial in June. She rented a home in her house to Matthew Hunsaker, a man who had already served time for child sex abuse in Box Elder County. Hunsaker admitted to police he raped and sodomized the 30-year-old woman's daughters, Wyatt said. Hunsaker, who admitted to some 400 different sex acts with the three sisters and two other girls, pleaded guilty to 5 counts of aggravated sexual assault and 1 count of rape of a child, both first-degree felonies. He was sentenced in November 1999 to concurrent terms of 15 years to life on the rape charge and 5 years to life on each of the 5 assault charges. And I'm not going to read the rest of this because it doesn't mention Mitchell again. And it's just going into redundancy. So I'll just go back and show you how many different articles there are about this is not the same Mitchell. That's not the same Mitchell. Let me do that. And then we'll put Deseret. Search archive. And there's one about him from 81, which may be him. I don't know. It could not be him, and it could be him. He's a detective then, so that's almost 20 years earlier. I don't know if it's him. It could be his father. It could be an uncle. It could be nobody related. But there's numerous articles about a Detective Mitchell from the 80s. And this one is definitely the Detective Mike Mitchell. This one's 83, so I don't know. This is West Jordan. I don't know where West Jordan is in Utah, but it's in the Deseret News. Or is that Desiree? November 3rd trial. Maybe he was investigating it then. So yeah, there's those. And let me do Salt Lake City. Maybe I'll just do Utah. Again, I put down the thing when I search those because it keeps showing my personal information, which I obviously don't want on the internet because then I'll have to edit the video. There's another one, 82. It's not what we want. We want 90s and later. There's Detective Mike Mitchell, Deseret News, 1999. Let's see if I can get Salt Lake City. I'll just do, nope, I got to go back here. Salt Lake. There's that. Hospital, 1982. 2000, charges against two moms spur more reports of sexual abuse. Cache County, 1981. All right, so anyway, there's at least two, and I know if I just do a regular search of Detective Mike Mitchell, you'll see him right there. Child Abuse Unit, Salt Lake County Sheriff. There's the Facebook mention that Candace Owens showed. There's teens nosy mom helps nab suspect. That's Salt Lake County Sheriff's Detective Mike Mitchell. Obviously it exists. He was a detective. Teacher is charged in net sex case. October 31st, 1999. Salt Lake County Sheriff's Detective Mike Mitchell. There's other newspaper articles. So Candace Owens was stating that she could not find any articles about Detective Mike Mitchell besides this one. And I found them. I sent them to her tip line, and we'll see if she mentions it again on her live cast. Not that I'm trying to get on her live cast because I don't want any part of it. But there's those articles. That's all.